Here's a fact about Auckland. Apparently, I don't know, I heard this on the canyoning tour, a third of New Zealand's population live in Auckland. There you go. So it's obviously got a very central city like the UK with London. So we've now arrived in Auckland, and one thing we can say for sure is the road's pretty crap. Like, none of it makes sense. There's about 700 exits within a 1 kilometre stretch of motorway road. It's very, very complicated and difficult and confusing to figure out how to go where and when to go where. Very poorly designed roads. We turned off the wrong way once. I shouted at Claire and said, "You've got to come off here, you've got to come off here." And she said, "No, I don't." And I was wrong, she was right. But the sat-nav was also wrong. Sat-navs don't have a clue what's going on. So add about 20 minutes onto your journey when you come to Auckland if you need to get anywhere, because you won't get there the time the sat-nav says you'll get there.
They're nice. Is it a sauce?
I'll be honest, stick fairy lights on anything and it does look 10 times better. So maybe we need to stick fairy lights around the UK. It's gonna be my mission, my policy as Prime Minister. Frugality at its finest. Get yourself some squashy thing and have tap water. Boom. Save yourself like $10. Spice bag and a massaman curry. Claire and I couldn't decide where to go to dinner in Auckland. There's two Thai places, two good vegan Thai places, Sunflower Thai Food and Khu Khu. Khu Khu had a few different branches in Auckland. So we decided and compromised, didn't we? Yeah. Good relationship etiquette. Went to both instead. And they were both good.
We went on a restaurant crawl.
We did, but Sunflower was basically cheaper, so you get more bang for your buck.
So guess who wanted to go there?
Me. And Khu Khu was a bit more expensive, but looked a bit nicer in terms of like the stuff that the effort they put into each the dishes and stuff. So
and guess who wanted to go there?
It was more aesthetically pleasing. So guess who wanted to go there? And the winner was Khu Khu. It was better, yeah. Cost more money, but it was better. But Sunflower was still very good. We ended up eating 3 mains and a side today. But no, they were both very good. They were both good. So me and Claire are just doing some planning for Fiji, which is our next stop. And Claire has found that there's currently a cyclone near Fiji. Show the camera the phone. I don't know, you can't see that. Maybe it will zoom. There you go. I'll show you. There, oh, you can't zoom in. There is where we're going. And there's cyclone. So, that's great. Gonna be a nice sunny time in Fiji, I'm sure. There's definitely gonna be no rain clouds, cancelled activities, possibly cancelled boats, possibly cancelled accommodation, possibly cancelled flights. Looking forward to it.
The joys of travelling.
We're at Tart Bakery. Claire's got a brie Danish, and I've got my usual almond croissant. So I'm comparing all around the world almond croissant basically. It's good. It's flaky. It's got a good amount of frangipan in it. Only problem is a bit small. I think it could be a bit bigger, but generally, definitely come to Tart Bakery. It's very, very, very good.
15 and one says $7.99.
Pistachio could be.
Pistachio toothpaste.
I think we've just got to get the red velvet
Or
toothpaste.
cereal milk.
Who comes up with these flavours? Some guy's like, guys, I've got a new idea. I was eating my cereal this morning.
You just want to eat your toothpaste.
Maybe. Is that a good thing though?
I don't know.
Auckland definitely seems like a bus-focused city for public transport. It's not like Melbourne where you can get a train wherever you want to go. It's generally bus, which means obviously you add time for the bus being late and for traffic. There's a few things you can do in Auckland. There's the Waiheke Islands you can get a ferry to, and they have like a zip line and forest walk and stuff. And there's also Devonport, which I think you can get a ferry to, and they get like it's almost like a sunset cruise type thing, which is supposed to be really nice. But we haven't been to a museum yet in New Zealand, so want to learn more about the culture, the history, that type of thing. So that's why we're going to the Auckland Museum today. It is quite cool how Auckland sort of integrate Maori culture and names, etc., into everything. Whether it be the name Aotearoa for actual New Zealand, or when like you're on the bus, it will have the Maori name for the roads, and then the sort of Western New Zealand name as well, which is quite cool. And there's a lot of like Maori carvings and things as you drive around and as you drive through Auckland, and it's quite it's nice that it's integrated in that way, rather than, I don't know, trying to sort of just mow over it and pretend it doesn't exist, or not give rightful place for the history of the land that you're actually on. If you're a gardener, the Auckland Domain winter gardens are very pretty. This is the War Memorial Museum. The Water Memorial Museum has a lot on New Zealand history. You've got you start and you come into the Maori Court, a bit of Maori history and Pacific history in Auckland. And then there's the volcanoes and the natural history and the science aspect. And then it gets to the war bit with World War II, World War One, and the history of New Zealand in wars. And there's some Spitfires. You get scared when a bloody goose or swan comes up to you. Imagine this bloody bugger coming to you. You run a mile. Just be aware if you do go to Taupo, you might have a volcano erupt on you. I'm sure you'll be fine. Volcano's erupting now. I wonder what was going on here. It's a simulation of an earthquake. I thought someone was having a scrap. In the Auckland Museum, there's a lot on sort of like Western wars as well, like World War One, World War Two, and New Zealand's involvement. But there's also New Zealand Wars, which is in like the 1800s, where essentially the British murdered, tortured, and conquered Maori villages and Maori tribe. The Maori tried to broker for peace, and the British obviously have none of it, and because they didn't want to respect that their lands were theirs, they just wanted to take them as their own and sell them to British settlers, etc. Which, as usual, colonial powers do. They just destroy and subjugate people that were previously in the land that they now want, which is a bit of a commentary on today's world political landscape as well. Now here's an idiot guide to the Treaty of Waitangi. Essentially, it was signed in 1840 by chiefs and the British Crown, and the chiefs believed that this would protect their lands and their rights from the settlers. But British settlers continued to come, obviously because they were offered lands, they were offered money, seeking betterment of their lives essentially by force. And so obviously eventually led to the New Zealand Wars, and the British broke their promise in the Waitangi Treaty. And then in 1975, after all of these wars and all of these processes and protests, the New Zealand Parliament passes the Treaty of Waitangi Act, which establishes the Waitangi Tribunal, which essentially tries to bring to justice and brings retributions essentially for Maori and the chiefs and the tribes because of the British breaking the treaty that they originally signed. To move away from the travelling content just for a little bit, it really is quite worrying how many parallels there are today with the 1930s. The rise of the far right, blaming and hatred of the other like immigrants, the breaking down of international order, the rise of countries simply trying to take land to increase their power, as well as increasing isolationism and nationalism. It's important to look at the past because history has a way of repeating itself, as we humans forget to remember the lessons we once paid such a price to learn. This piece in the museum specifically hit really hard. I think we may be forgetting some of the key lessons that World War II has taught us. On to Fiji next.